Though we are many, we are part of something. A force. Bigger than all of us. Our distinct fingerprints collectively shaping and forever changing what makes UCONN, UCONN. Forever making our mark. Forever making UCONN a part of us.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and family beyond the binary, hello and welcome to more EGF Collegiate Overwatch action. My name is Warren Jugglegod Hammond, and tonight I'm joined on the mic by Unchanged. How are you doing?
I'm great. It feels great to be back here working with you for EGF, and I look forward to these matches.
Yeah, there's certainly going to be some great ones tonight. We've got University of Delaware starting off against University of Connecticut. Now, UConn, one of the top performing teams in this league right now, still with, I believe, just one loss on their record at the moment. University of Delaware right in the thick of it, though, in the middle of the pack with a 6-3 record. So certainly a little bit of the underdogs coming into the night, but well within striking distance, I think, to take a game off of University of Connecticut, maybe even win this match.
Certainly, they're both competitive teams, like you said. There's definitely the idea of, like you said, with one team only losing one game, you'd like to favor them, but this is Overwatch, and at the end of the day, anything can happen at any moment. I've just been playing some matches, just been coaching some games myself, and some very unexpected things can happen. We saw some Bastion get pulled out, so you never know what's going to happen in the game of Overwatch.
That is certainly true, especially when we're talking collegiate as well. We'll see all sorts of different strats coming out that you might not expect. We're going to be starting things off tonight, I believe, on Lijiang Tower, my favorite map in the game, so I am excited to see how this is going to go. There's all the maps that we're going to be seeing. Again, start out with a real classic, though, on Lijiang.
Certainly, it's one of the go-to scrim starters for sure. Everyone loves a good Lijiang Tower. Everyone knows what they should be doing at this point on a map like that. So I'm interested to see what the team have as their set strats going into this map here today.
As am I, of course. Brawl is going to be the name of the game if we're going to Control Center, but you can run Brawl on the other points as well, but Wrecking Ball dive compositions work well. 6-man dive works really well as in addition, so definitely an opportunity to see a lot of different things come out here and to see what each of these teams kind of favors.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. First map, you want to see, like I said, exactly what people are going to be running out on, and what each team favors, and what you're likely to see for the rest of the maps going forward, and then you can kind of try and judge on certain points whose comp you feel is going to be more beneficial, and we can look ahead at the rest of the maps that we've got, and maybe try and make some predictions on how we feel this game's going to go based off what we see at the start here.
Yeah, it's going to be a very good kind of a side post for us, if you will, to let us know what we're going to see from each of these teams. Should be loading into the game relatively shortly, and we are going to be on Control Center first, so I'm anticipating to see a lot of Brawl come out here.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what kind of tank variation each team goes for. With the enclosed nature of this map, you do tend to see a lot of Sig Ryan, double shield. It's a lot of spam. Obviously, Sig can hit off of the ceilings and off of the walls and get those rebound shots. So it will be very interesting to see whether you get Sig or if we see someone come out with a more classic Diva comp. Obviously, Junkrat also very big. Sim, I would imagine, would be the default for both teams, and as we see what looks like fairly similar team comps, although there is currently a ball from Delaware that's interesting. I would imagine that will be swapped looking at the rest of the team comp before they do roll out.
Yeah, that looks like it will. It seems like it's going to be the case here, although it's not unheard of to see a Wrecking Ball come out on Control Center as well. Certainly an option, but not the norm. We are going to see Savix go over to the Reinhardt. That's a little bit more expected. Both teams going to be TPing out of points to see if they can get that advantage. As they're going back to swap over to the Doomfist, though. So that's going to leave a lot of one-tick potential here for this University of Connecticut team. Immortality has to be committed. His guy is going to go down almost immediately as they're looking for an opportunity. He isn't going to find one. UConn's going to back off and just let Delaware have first control.
Yeah, that was an interesting swap from Connecticut. Like, we saw them start off on a sim, TP out, but then they swap onto the Doom. They lost all of that frontline pressure going into that first fight. Just completely lost tanks. D.Va was demaked immediately, and they're down again. And again, this frontline pressure is low, but Easy on the Doom does get 2 picks going in, gets knocked out himself, but then it is going to be thrown back over, and Window is going to be used from the side of Delaware. And now they're the ones backing up. They're not going to be able to take advantage of this, but huge ult investment from Delaware into what looked like a losing team fight.
Yeah, but they are still holding on to the point at the moment. In fact, they're going to come out with a pick onto the main take of UCONN. Immortality Field committed again, and there's a massive Riptire coming out from Pod. That's going to take the rest of UCONN out, send them back to spawn.
Yeah, that lack of mid-fight damage from the Doomfist really showing there as Delaware were able to just pop some ults and then get that junk tire and just flip the fight back into their advantage. They have so much more just consistent frontline spam damage than Delaware do right now.
Yeah, that they do. Your boy looking for a shatter here, but Easy Dirk already down and out of the fight is going to be traded out for a Baptiste, so that's arguably an advantage here in Connecticut's favor. Gonna start pushing the point. Samo gonna pop the Deadeye as well, not gonna find any kills, but gonna zone plenty of members of Delaware away into a corner. Nate's gonna go down via the Earth Shatter, and now the picks are coming in hand over fist for UCONN. They're gonna take this point in their favor.
Yeah, the massive ult investment from Delaware in that last fight came to bite them there. Connecticut with some good ult rotation, like I said, zoning massive pushback ult from Samo on the cast allows the rest of his team to take that point control, and then a huge shatter coming out from your boy gets the primary damage of the sim out and then rolls it back into the next fight.
And next fight is here already. We've got a couple picks coming in early on. Pod looking for another repeat of that earlier Riptire, not gonna find it. Down barrier there from a helpful Fox to keep their team alive, but Big Letty gonna come in with a huge self-destruct, gonna catch two. University of Delaware primed to take this point back for themselves.
Yeah, and this is again going both ways. I expected to see Connecticut use their ults early in that fight, use it to their advantage. They knew they were on the back foot, and they knew Delaware was likely going to be coming in with some good ult investment, and they do like to invest their ults early. And Connecticut just played on the back foot and let Delaware take pressure, and now Delaware is taking that space with more ults early invested into the fights. This is the way they like to play.
That it is, and an excellent amplification matrix coming out from Burnout. It's going to lead to a couple of kills, 97% on the board. Just one member barely able to touch point for UCONN. They're going to be able to contest it. And look at this, Helpful Fox gets two. Not only are they potentially saving this overtime, but they're bringing this back for UCONN if they can get a couple more kills. But it's going back in Delaware's favor. Pod 36,000 with a couple of huge kills on that Junkrat. They have been a force to be reckoned with. The art taken out by Samo. That's going to be a big opportunity now for UCONN to come back in this. Your boy Wings has an Earth Shatter. They're going to have to use it soon. It is blocked for the most part, and that is Delaware coming away with the first round win.
Yeah, that just... the outright oppressive damage that Delaware had with the Junk and Sim was just... Connecticut had no way of maintaining that space and maintaining the frontline pressure, which is so vital on a brawl map like this. And if Easy Dirk didn't get those immediate picks with the Doom, immediately his value in the team fight just started diminishing over time, and you saw the tanks and the shields and all of the possible sustainability from Connecticut just slowly getting drained out. And the longer the fights went on, Delaware just started pushing, but they also were the more aggressive team, using the ults early in each of these fights. And I'd imagine they will be doing the same on this map, as it is again the second brawl map with Night Market.
That it is. We're going to see a TP strat coming out from Delaware and University of Connecticut, both looking to get onto point fast. They get there at just about the same time. Your boy Wings going to come out with an early charge. It's going to lead to their demise, but they take Nate out of the fight before they meet their own. There's going to be a couple of picks now in favor of UCONN as they have a little bit more control of the point. They've got control in the kill feed as well. This is going their way. They're going to come away with first possession.
It may have looked like a really big trade to lose your Reinhardt there, but in a team comp like this, Symmetra is the primary damage output. So you'd be happy to lose your Rein if you're taking out the enemy Sim. You let your own Sim build up to tier 3 beam, she starts melting the entire enemy team, and they just lose all of that damage. And now we see a massive team comp swap coming out from University of Delaware, going for, as my team likes to call it, the buddies comp with this Farah Bull.
Yeah, this is going to take a lot longer to set up. They're going to have to take multiple angles here to see if they can negate the effectiveness of that Reinhardt shield. Savic's already looking for an off angle to go in on. Rest of the team just kind of spamming choke at the moment. Sim turrets dealing a little bit of damage, but quickly dealt with. Now Big Lenny looking to try and push in, but he's going to have a hard time going into that Reinhardt. Nelsa's down, though. Sambo falls as well. Ez is not long for this world either. They are able to take Burnout out of the fight, but they're traded out eventually. And boy, Wings picking up a couple, though, for UCONN. They may be able to swing this back in their favor, especially now that Savix is out for Delaware.
Yeah, but the ult investment again from Nate gets 2 with the barrage. These ult timings from University of Delaware are insane in turning these fights around. There's been so many fights that have looked like they've been lost that they've just been able to pull back with a well-timed ult, and Nate picking out the supports there is just ideal. But like you said, Delaware with this team comp swap, they're looking for the off angles, they're playing for the time. Farah gets more value, especially against a brawl comp, the longer the fights go on. If you can get her into those angles where she can't be shielded off from the Ryan and you have the ball as a distraction, she just builds up more value and gets that ult charge so fast into the group comp of brawl.
Yeah, that she does. We're going to see an early amplification matrix used. Savic's going to drop right on it. Procs a ton of shields. They're going to be able to stay in this fight and push very hard against UCONN right now, and that's exactly what we're seeing them do. Immortality Field committed by Nels. That's already out of the equation, though, and UCONN just backs up to try again.
It was a very smart early team comp swap now to get off of that ball. Ball is very hard to retake this point with, and Connecticut seeing that, but Nate getting picked out while in the ult, the rest of the team going low, but Delaware have the ult to retain. Savage getting picked. This is a scrappy brawl fight here with a remake kill from Tiz onto Hyper, and your boy Swings manages to take point. Love to see a good little squish from a remake kill there, and just as I was saying, it's hard to retake point on Brawl. Connecticut managed to pull it out.
Yeah, they did an excellent job of just outlasting University of Delaware there. I think the the key to that equation was just the sustain that the Brawl composition had. Hot now trying to get in a little bit of damage here, but UCONN has come out with a vengeance, taking out several members of Delaware. And now we're seeing Nate, instead of staying on that Farah, swapping over to the Cassidy.
Yeah, like I said, the Delaware team comp is built off of lasting for a long time and poking out the ability usage from Delaware or from Connecticut to not allow them to sustain on point. Using that barrage early while they were grouped, they had all of their abilities still available to shut it down. They had Immo, they had Defense Matrix. Then losing that Farah early in the team fight means that they don't have that poke damage that is so vital to taking out Connecticut. And on here we see Nels using the window to try and keep his line alive, but he's not able to. He does get taken down. Burnout with 2 kills is then meleeing the Tracer. Don't get too close to me. I will just punch you in the face. And then Pod and Big Lenny coming in to clean it up. And yeah, Pod, the Tracer is very good in this team comp, but just getting sustained like pick damage, like to call out someone's like, they did that. Actually, they swapped off of the Farah. So normally you would see like Farah would land a rocket on someone, call out that someone's low with a damage boosted rocket, and then Tracer would just come in, poke, and get a kill. But they're playing this team comp very differently here. But they do have the ulted both teams going into this fight, so I'm interested to see how they set up going into this.
I imagine we're gonna see this minefield used relatively early to just make some space. There it goes. It's gonna split off the tanks from the rest of the composition. Town barrier is still gonna land though, as Savix tries to roll in for an opportunity, but it's not gonna be there. And in fact, University of Connecticut coming away with several kills, but Nate in the back line, not to be outdone, finds some of their own. It's quickly swapping back in favor of University of Connecticut, though, on the back of a fantastic pulse bomb from Ez Easy Dirk again, and that's going to be UCONN tying up this first map.
Yeah, what looked like a map that was going in favor of Delaware there, with the good early swap onto the more poke comp against this Brawl, and Connecticut just managed to get back with some good ults. Shutting down the ult of Delaware was what really turned some of those fights in their favor, just not allowing that Farah barrage to get any kills, and then taking her out of the sky while she's in it, while she's stationary. She's such an easy target. Was massive for the side of Connecticut, and that's a very good Brawl win for them coming into that fight with the way they started and the way that Delaware were able to kind of take it back with the comp change. Now we see some very different comps, but Connecticut's still sticking with that Brawl that's served them so well on this map.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice. I think it's not normally seen here, or not nearly as often as we see a 6-man dive or this Wrecking Ball comp. Already, Savix finds an environmental kill onto Samo. They're going to look to disrupt just a little bit more, and in the meantime, Pod's able to get a pick as well. Now this Brawl composition is stuck on point. They're trying to see if they can get any value, maybe back out, but they're not going to be able to, as this poke composition from Delaware just picks them apart piece by piece.
Yeah, they managed to get that. Like I said, Savic's rolling out, got the perfect TP, rolled out on the point, boot Samo off, and once that crease out, that's a huge amount of that damage. And an interesting swap onto double shield to try and retake here from Connecticut. I'm interested to see what kind of position they try and take here, because this is an unusual comp, but it is also one of the better comps to stop this full dive.
Yeah, it certainly is. You don't normally see it run here. You're absolutely right on Liege on Tower, but they're looking to make it work. They've already pushed on to point, and they're rather very, very close. Here comes a Pulse Bomb, though. It's going to be negated by the Immortality Field of a helpful Fox. Now, Savix has to go back and get a little heal before they can start to re-engage. Minefield committed. Now, several members caught inside it. That's going to be Nate and Big Lenny combining for a couple of big kills right there. And Delaware, despite not having their main take, still a little bit ahead in this fight, though it is not over yet. Connecticut appearing to just back off, though, and waiting for the rest of their team so they can regroup and try again.
Yeah, they lost too early with that minefield. It wasn't the mines themselves that caught the kills, but Savic slamming in, cutting the players off from the rest of their team, just allowing Delaware to put the pressure on and take them out. And it's just such a slow comp. I'm unsure what Connecticut are going to be able to do here. It's just ult percentage and point percentage just keep ticking over Connecticut. But a lot of ults used, and Easy trying to get a Visor kill does get burnout, and now he's got a Diva in his face, but it does look like the fight again could go either way. Helpful Fox gets a kill on the Nate. Easy getting slammed. Now I'm not even I'm just so unsure about what Connecticut's plan going into this is, and yet they still manage to win the point here. They get the flip. And now it's going to be very hard for Connecticut to push into this double shield, very static comp with the ball comp that they're currently running, especially with the fact that they don't have the fire to take off angles. They're currently running the pre-tracing.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, and I think University of Connecticut's plan was to get point and then just not lose it again, because you're absolutely right. Once this composition has bunkered down, it's going to be very, very difficult to move, even with the disruption coming in from Savix, which we're about to see. Supercharger committed now. Savix looking for an opportunity, but going to be briefly dissuaded by Nels with that whip shot. And the dash as well. Pod looking for an opportunity for a Pulse Bomb. Here comes Savix. They're going to slam a few down. Pulse Bomb going to be committed as well. Going to miss anybody, but it does deal some damage. Immortality Field committed, but it's not going to be enough to keep Easy Dirk alive. Savix goes down, but they're able to take out his guy with the minefield. Your boy Wings going down very, very low. Helpful Fox committing the amplification matrix as well. Going to be a D-Mech now on to Big Lenny, so this is an opportunity for University of Connecticut. They're still holding on tight, despite there being a numbers advantage in favor of University of Delaware. Overtime starting to take over. Delaware has point control now. It's all up to these last few members of Connecticut. Just the tanks on point. It's going to be Burnout, Larry, and so much damage getting that Diva D-Mech. Now it's your boy Wings on the wrecking ball to try and stall it out, but it's all going to be for not just a few more picks that need to come in. University of Delaware come away with this first map win.
Yeah, and I think you'll see that was definitely a case of a compositional advantage winning them this map. While Connecticut did do well to manage to get that retake while running a double shield comp, as soon as it got broken down by the ult advantage that Delaware had, being able to throw mines, pulse bomb, Diva Bomb all into them, just completely destroy that bunker, just repeatedly throwing mortar shot after mortar shot to break it down brick by brick. They just weren't able to hold themselves together, and eventually they got picked off. And then once it's a battle of recontesting, Connecticut's comp just isn't fast enough to get back, while Delaware were already on those fast moving players and were able to get straight back to point and follow up on those picks they got earlier on in that fight.
Yeah, excellent play coming out from both these squads, but you're absolutely right. Delaware edging them out, and it looked to be just a bit of a composition difference, I think. Even, running the wrecking ball on Night Market instead of the Brawl composition, not a bad idea. Definitely very, very doable, and Delaware was rewarded with a map win because of it, and we're going to be headed to Hollywood next, where I think this dive composition can thrive again.
I believe so. I believe it's going to be hard if Connecticut's kind of main comp is this brawl comp that we're seeing. It's not very much well favored on the Hollywood. I'm expecting to see more of a double shield defense from them, but on attack, they could maybe try and do a sim with the brawl comp and try and get the Ryan onto those high grounds faster, but it's definitely not in favor of what we've seen them play so far.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This it could be tough going for University of Connecticut if they're going to try to stick to these either brawl or bunker compositions. Um, First point, it's not too bad to run it, from either a defensive or offensive standpoint. But once you start to move into the streets of Hollywood, it with that high ground that is just ever present across every moment of that middle phase of the map, dive just becomes almost a necessity.
Yeah, the ability to drop down, contest point, get damage while leaving your DPS up on the high ground as the tanks, and then jumping back up to the safety of high ground, knowing that the enemy can't get there as easily if they're not running a dive themselves, is certainly going to be advantageous to Delaware if we see them running similar comps to what we saw on the first map. I'm interested to see what kind of DPS we see, because we didn't, obviously, with it being a control map on the first point, you don't really see so much of the longer range DPS, whereas, say, an Ash, for example, is all very big on a map like Hollywood. So I'm interested to see what kind of different comps in terms of just slightly different DPS ran on a longer range map like this we will see from both teams. I would, like I said, be expecting more of an Ash or a Hanzo to be seen. Mm-hmm. But Pharah, which we saw being played by Delaware in the first map, is also very good at that kind of spam poke from range, taking high grounds, as you said. So I'm interested to see what they're going to run, but I feel like this is a map, based on what we saw last time, this is a map that does favor Delaware here.
Yeah, I certainly agree, just because of the geometry of it, the way everything's set up, and just how much it really does favor dive. I think, it's except for that third point. The third point, very difficult to make dive work on. It's probably going to swap over to a brawl v brawl at that point. We are going to throw to a very short break, though, before we get into this next map, so don't go anywhere. We will be back in just a flash. Hello, everybody. We are back and ready to head into Hollywood. University of Connecticut going to be on the defense first here, and to little to no surprise, they are running out on the brawl composition again. They really seem to favor that.
Yeah, like I said, I was unsure whether they were going to run brawl or if they were going to run a bit more of like a double shield type comp, but they do opt to go for the brawl with the D.Va, allowing them to be able to contest some of those high grounds at least. So they won't be giving it away for free, but as we also said, Delaware coming out with a double bubble, a dive. They have the Tracer, they have the Soldier, legs to follow up, but they will be looking to engage with the bubble onto the Winston, build up their ult charge as fast as they can, get that nano boost in particular, and just send that monkey into the backline and let him do his work.
Yeah, exactly right. That Tesla Cannon gonna be working overtime for sure, courtesy of Burnout relatively soon. We're going to see a low ground approach coming from the University of Delaware. But Savic's going to take the high ground now under their control to kind of stage for a dive onto this point. Going to be looking ideally for a helpful Fox or Nels, but early pick coming in favor of University of Connecticut. Pod now caught in the back line. They're having a lot of trouble with that Cassidy. Forced to try and get away, but Easy Dirk finds them still. And UCONN's first hold looking good.
Yeah, and that was 2 massive picks from Easy. He got the headshot onto the soldier, just gets him down straight away, lands the flash, forces all of the abilities out from Pod's Tracer, and now they're swapping their comp over to a double shield attack. So they're going for the spam attack. I guess an interesting way to beat a broad defense, but they're going to try and get this high ground and then just spam them out.
Yeah, it could very easily work. I love Pod going over the Torbjorn as well. That's going to shut down, you know, any kind of flanks that might come out from Delaware. Pick on either side, but crucially, it's going to be Hyper out of the fight for Delaware. Without the Discord orb, it's going to make it a lot harder for this poke composition to really find value. They are going to eventually swap over to the Lucio, though, which I think is an interesting choice. Now we've got your boy Wings swinging their hammer furiously. They're going to find Savix. Helpful Fox taken out of the fight, though. 1 tick in favor of University of Delaware at the moment. They're continuing to get percentage, but the fight is going in favor of Connecticut. They're eventually going to be able to push them out. Pod, though, is able to find an exit pick onto this guy, so they're going to be late back to the fight. And that's unfortunate because this University of Delaware squad isn't going anywhere just yet. They're not ready to give this fight up. They're going to continue it, and they're rewarded with a pick onto Sambo as well. Now 2 ticks on the board for this Delaware squad on this double shield composition. University of Connecticut trying desperately to come back into it, but with a beautiful gravitic flux leading to a nice shot from Nate as well. This Connecticut crew is going to crumble, and that's Delaware taking first point.
They did really well to have like a mini disengage in the middle of that fight, just back off, and they got picks while backing away. So they didn't give up space, they didn't give up positioning, and they were managing to pick out the players from Connecticut. That once that brawl comp isn't a cohesive unit of 6, it's very easy to start picking them off one by one, and people then don't quite know whether they should, what angles they should be holding. And against this double shield, but off angling double shield that they had Pod on one angle and Nate up on the high ground. It's very hard for just a single Rhine to block off all of that damage.
Yeah, it certainly is. And speaking of damage, Savic's taking a lot right now. They use that Fortify, but it's not going to be enough to keep him up. Samo now looking for an opportunity. They have the Molten Core. They're not going to use it in response to Pods, as that one's going to take them out of the fight. And with that, University of Delaware has equalized in the kill feed. Your boy Wings caught out on the wayside by that Molten Core. Eventually, it's going to dissipate. They're looking for an opportunity to try and stop this aggression. They may have it now that Burnout is out of the fight. That is a big source of healing that is just gone. But Connecticut going to need to regroup as well as Delaware.
Yeah, that's all of the sustain out. So, you know, they can try and take some position, but they can't be overly aggressive because the burst healing of Bab is what really keeps this team comp alive. But we notice they've split. Their shield, they have Sig up on the high ground and Arisa, the really, you know, anchor tank of this comp, just pushing point on her own, allowing Nate to get these 2 picks as a support and a DPS out. So again, Connecticut, this 6-man falling apart. You know, when Brawl isn't all together, they are not going to be able to push on and win fights like this. And the off-angling double shield, it looked interesting at first point, but as soon as they won that first point, they got it. We don't even need to see a dive comp out of this for them to be able to pick it all apart.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They're doing a fantastic job of with this double shield. A nice Dragon Strike coming in to beat a helpful Fox to the punch, not allowing them to contest that point on second. And now we're moving into Streets phase where this Brawl composition should start to shine just a little bit more compared to this double shield from Delaware.
Yeah, if they can, you know, hold the off angle and not engage in this long hallway, it certainly will be to their advantage. And you see them taking the high ground now and hoping to just drop straight onto point and play as close range as they can.
And an excellent drop it was. They're able to use the Molten Core as well to zone members of Delaware off the point. Nate looking for an opportunity with the Storm Arrows. Gonna find a little bit of damage, but no kills just yet. In fact, they're going to be taken out of the fight. This guy eventually able to neutralize that threat. Now your boy Wings has a Shatter ready to go. That, plus this Amplification Matrix, is going to be absolutely devastating to this double shield composition. If they can catch them, in a good point. Once they've committed, here it comes. The shield starting to disappear. Shatter goes down, but the Fortify was there to save Delaware's team. Excellent play there by Savix. Sound barrier committed by a helpful Fox to try and help their team move on with a little bit more aggression, but it's going to be Nate who finds the pick once again for Delaware. Going to lose the Dragon Strike as well. That's going to send several members away, and in the middle of it, your boy Wings unable to back off, taken out by Burnout, and now Delaware looking primed to win this fight, especially after that Gravitic Flux.
Yeah, and they've seen the Kree, the Hanzo managed to get the Sonic Arrow, so they saw him trying to take that flank, immediately shut that down. So now that big retake position taken away, and Tiz just has to try and force himself on the point, but immediately loses mech, and now it's just an all-out brawl. But the Discord Orb and damage that this double shield comp has should be enough to just melt these targets down of this brawl. But Tiz, as a baby diva, gets a kill onto Pod, and Pod turret up. Pod's not dead because his turret's still alive, getting damage. And now the rest of the team follows up with those kills. Again, I believe the big part that won them these fights was the Discord Orbs from Hyper. He was staying quite far away out of the fight. But in a brawl comp, if one of those tanks uses their defensibility, if Matrix is used, or if Shield goes down, and you get a Discord Orb onto that target with the insane amount of damage that a Torb Hanzo has, they were just melting this frontline. Again, Delaware winning off the back of frontline pressure. They're not allowing the tanks of Connecticut to have the space that they want to be able to play.
Yeah, they're doing just a tremendous job of keeping Connecticut, where they don't want to be as well, right? They're keeping them in this poke phase for longer than they can sustain, and that's just causing Connecticut to crumble at the moment. Connecticut very committed to this brawl composition. They're going to roll out with it. At least it looks like it on attack. And now Delaware, they like what they had with the double shield. They're not going to mess with success.
Yeah, they Connecticut need to take faster engagements and try and play out of the line of sight of Delaware as much as possible, take those close range engagements. We saw it that one time on last point where they were able to come through the high ground completely out of the line of sight of any of the Delaware players. They dropped down onto them. That was one of the first team fights they'd won this entire map since Delaware had changed onto the double shield. Connecticut loved that. That was the perfect way they needed to play it, but they weren't able to do that again, and then they lost every subsequent fight, like I said, to that pure frontline damage, not allowing the brawl tanks to get the space they need. Pushing into this double shield now, where the defense gets to choose where the fights happen, and you just get to decide when you engage, is going to be a lot harder.
Yeah, it certainly is. They're going to take a long route around. They're going to look to wrap through Cafe to see if they can push this double shield composition into a less beneficial position for them, but they're going to rotate around to the high ground now, and they're looking just about as good as they were before, especially now that Samo is out of the fight. That first pick going to yield a big advantage for University of Delaware, because now Connecticut has to decide to either back out or to just allow this Hanzo to take an off angle when they come back in.
I think it's going to be most beneficial to get that Hanzo on the off angle. We see him break the turret there on that off angle, and then they push. But it's a rotation game from Delaware here. They're just going to try and play as far away as they can. They're not going to let this brawl walk onto them. They're just going to keep backing up and spamming the damage. And again, Pod getting the damage out and kills Samo. That's a huge damage of Connecticut out of this fight.
Yeah, Samo just having a hard time staying alive right now. Eventually, they're going to swap over to the Tracer, so their playstyle is going to differ greatly. Anti-nade going to land onto Savix. That's eventually going to allow them to take them out of the fight. And now with this, University of Connecticut looking a lot better. They have the nano boost on the Rhine, comes in with the charge kill as well, but in the meantime, Nate has picked up a couple too. There's one tick on the board now for UCONN, but Nate is back with a vengeance and a tack visor. Soundberry has to be committed by a helpful box to try and stay alive, but it's not going to outlast the Molten Core, which seals the deal for Delaware.
Yeah, it looked like Connecticut had done a really good job of building up their ultimates there. The Nano, they had both support ults, they had DPS that were coming back. They were only down Samo. They chose to commit onto that fight once the anti-nade was landed on Savix. They got the early kill, that's the anchor tank down, but they're not able to push off of it, as Connecticut also, from poking them, from getting poked out, Connecticut had allowed Delaware to build the ults, and then, like I said, Nate, tack visor, getting picks. It's just, the ult rotation has been much cleaner from Delaware across both maps so far.
That it has, but another anti-nade gonna hit Savix. They're out of the fight right before they got that supercharger. Your boy Wings combining for 2 kills. Burnout is down. The Shatter committed as well. That's gonna knock one of them on the ground and back to spawn. A helpful box going very low. Now it's up to Connecticut to try and get these last few kills, but Delaware is not going down easy. Second pick is going to be committed over in favor of Connecticut. Is anyone left from Delaware to try and defend? There's just a couple more coming back from spawn, but Samo dealing a lot of damage and is able to keep the aggression away. That's Connecticut picking up first point.
Yeah, Soldier and that pulse rifle, just such a consistent amount of damage being put out. Doesn't allow anyone to try and retake. The second they poke, they're just getting, you know, dink, 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 dink from this pulse rifle. There's not a chance that they can try and get onto point. And then your boy Wings is just stood on point swinging his hammer like, I dare you to try and touch, man.
Yeah,
so this brawl comp does manage to get the cap on the first point, but now, like we said at the beginning, this is where it's going to be hard for the brawl comp. Once this double shield has themselves set up on the high ground, it's going to be very hard for them to try and continually push this point.
That it is, especially with a supercharger out. Extra damage now going into that shield of your boy Wings. He's going to have to back out tremendously. Nate with attack visor behind, taking an off angle, dealing a lot of damage, causing a lot of disruption. A helpful Fox goes down very low. They are eventually healed back up, courtesy of Nels, but in the meantime, both tanks go down very low. Your boy Wings out of the fight. Nate with attack visor now, gonna launch it, finds 2 kills as well. Hyper with the Discord orb now on Tizguy, gonna get the D-Mech, and this fight is over in favor of Delaware.
Yeah, and every time that Connecticut tries to push, Hyper is making sure that it's one of the tanks that he puts a Discord orb on. They may not be the first to die, but he's forcing so much of that sustained utility out of Connecticut's brawl that they're not even really able to, you know, before they've even got contact on Delaware's core, they've already had to use all of their abilities. They've had to pump out all of their healing. They're having to reload. There just isn't time with this sheer damage. And Pod gets a long-range pick onto Samo there with the torch shots. You know, those Cheetos firing from a mile away. If they hit you in the head, it's going to hurt.
Yes, it's hurt. I like that. I hadn't heard of called Cheetos before, but that is a very apt name for them. And, you know, that was extra bad for Connecticut because Samo just about had this tack visor online. They really could have used that for a nice engage here, but self-destruct going to be launched now by Tizguy. That's going to zone several members off the high ground and back to spawn. Bone core from Pod going to take Tizguy out, so no remake coming in. Pod trying to do just as much as they can, but they're eventually negated, and that's going to be UCONN picking up the cart and starting to push forward. And oh look, they may even try to hold them in spawn. They're not even going to try and let them have a chance to touch cart.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be beneficial for this brawl if they try and hold one of these doors here. Obviously, they want to get cart moving as fast as they can, but they don't want to let this double shield get out of these doors and get themselves set up.
No, they don't, because once they're set up, it's going to be hard to move them. Easy Dirk with a Deadeye up on the high ground, gonna start the zone away, but it's gonna be Pod who takes them out. Pod with just some standout plays on this tour for Delaware right now. Hyper helping to deal with the rest of the damage that's coming in, and it's gonna be Delaware holding at the 11th hour here on second point. And now we are in one fight territory for Connecticut.
We certainly are, and it's gonna have to be a big one here as they did invest some ults into that last fight. Obviously, Tiz didn't really get any time to get mech back and get that that bomb building, and Easy's only just swapped over, but they do have 4 other ults. They want to make sure they can keep this soldier on the high ground, so they're going to have to find some way to force Delaware, who have 4 ults of their own, off of this high ground to allow Samo any space to do anything with his ult. Because if not, if they just try and force point here, which it looks like they're going to, it's going to be very hard for their DPS to get any follow-up pressure with them.
It certainly is. It looks like it's going to be a little bit of a split push. No, the Nano Boost going to be committed now onto your boy Wings. He's going to start swinging that rocket hammer. Damage is being done, but it's unfortunately going the way of Delaware for UCONN. Helpful Box uses the P, but they're not going to be long for this world. And Delaware gonna go up 2-0 with a beautiful hold here in the streets of Hollywood.
Yeah, and we said it was going to be this second point that was going to be hard for Connecticut to push if they stuck on this brawl. And indeed, they do manage to nearly push the whole way, but it is right at the end of that second point that they get held.
Yeah, and
just
now...
some good double shield play from Delaware there. Just
yeah, this
holding the angles, rotating away. Perfectly played.
Yeah, it really, really was. And now University of Connecticut finds themselves in a position they haven't been in very often. They are down by 2 right now. Delaware showing up today, the underdogs coming into this, but you certainly wouldn't expect it from the gameplay we've seen come out from today. It's been decisively on top of Connecticut's.
It certainly has, and like I said, they may have been the favorites coming into today, but anything can happen. You get the right maps, you get the right team comps, you get your players set up perfectly. This is Overwatch. It is very much a team comp based game. There's only so much that a player's ability can do if you're not set up in the right way, and it's just been, it's not been crazy individual plays that have won this for Delaware. They've just been they've set themselves up smart. They've done the right things to get the plays that they needed to do, get their people in the right positions to maximize their potential, and just put crazy amounts of damage into this Connecticut Brawl. You can't try and run Brawl when you've got a Discord orb and a Torb spamming at you and Hanzo spamming at you, or soldiers, repeat fire with the new spread that he has and everything. You're just not going to be able to try and run a Brawl straight down main and meet them and match them that way.
No, you're absolutely right. And it was an uphill battle for them, and they found out the hard way that it didn't work. We're going to throw it to a short break, but we'll be right back with what could be the exciting conclusion of this matchup between Delaware and Connecticut. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We are here for map number 3 between University of Delaware and University of Connecticut. Delaware up 2-0 right now, and we are headed to Volskaya Industries for what could be our final map here.
It could, and thinking about the way Volskaya is played, obviously it is a 2CP, so there are points where it's slightly closer, but Connecticut's brawl is certainly not going to be favored on this map. If they try and push directly to point on their attack, they're going to struggle if Delaware has the double shield comp that they did on Hollywood set up on these opposing high grounds. They're going to get the off angles, they're going to be shooting down onto them onto point. So I wonder if Connecticut's going to try and change it up and try and play a different team comp, or if they're going to try and force this brawl again and try and just run it straight onto point. I'd imagine they're going to try and be running it, on the high ground. They're going to be taking the rotations to force them off, but we won't see that until later because I do believe it's Connecticut that will be defending first.
Yes, it will be, but it appears Delaware, at least what they're flirting with in spawn is anything to be believed. They want to do that double shield regardless of the fact that they are on defense first. So this could be very interesting. Nate's gonna take themselves out of the fight before we even get started, as you can do with a Pharah in spawn.
Yeah, just shoot at your own feet. But Connecticut, we see a different team coming out from them. They're running the double bubble, so a completely different tank line. And I'd imagine they're going to have Samo up on the high ground, Tizguy, and a helpful Fox together. I just realized Tizguy is now, they've swapped. Easy Dark on DPS, Tizguy's on support now. They've completely swapped up who's playing what role on this Connecticut team.
Yeah, this is interesting. I wonder, if they're hopeful that maybe with this little bit of a swap and a little bit of a reset in terms of compositions, they can come back in this. Your boy Wings goes in for a little early ult charge, but it's going to be forced out, getting a little charge as well for Easy Dirk. Nels goes down to about half health, though, for UCONN. They're going to have to back out quite a bit. Your boy Wings going down very low again, getting caught out by this poke composition very effectively. And now Delaware, they've got half of what they want in terms of their positioning. If they can get Sigma over to the other high ground, which is what they're trying to do, they could have a major kill box here on point that can make it very difficult for this dive composition to get anything done. Your boy Wings now trying to put pressure onto Savix, but it's going to be Burnout who finds the final blow on that Winston. Easy Dirk is down as well. Big Lenny dealing a lot of damage down this hallway. Got both of these supports now in a terrible position. They're going to be able to take this Anna out of the fight. Tracer falls as well. 2 ticks on the board for Delaware. It's going to be 3 in very short order. And in their first fight, they cap first point.
It very much felt to me like Connecticut was not expecting Delaware to run a double shield on attack and have that insane spam. So they were holding quite close to that initial choke. And both of their tanks got chunked out so heavily that when they tried to drop back, they couldn't do what they really needed to do, which was cut off Delaware on the rotations. And it allowed Delaware to get that high ground position. Like we spoke about, they got the double shield up on those opposing high grounds and they just made point a kill box.
Yeah, they absolutely did. And now it's going to be your boy Wings coming in with a furious Tesla cannon. They go down very low, but not before they're able to take Burnout out of the fight. And with that, University of Delaware is going to have to wait because you need that Discord orb.
Yeah, it's not, you're not able to get, like I said, that chunk, that frontline pressure onto those tanks when they try and engage if your Zen is dead. Discord orb is such a huge part of what allows this poke comp to be efficient in terms of focusing their damage output.
Now that focus is back and there's 6 ultimates going to be online for Delaware. They're going to have a tremendous opportunity here. Pulse Bomb going to be trying to put in by Nels, but they're caught out on the flank as well. Molten Core now being committed on a point. The stick's going to come in, but Nels walks right into that Molten Core. Nate now committing the Tac Visor as well, looking to laser down any members they see peeking from Connecticut, but there's ticks on both sides. They are trading right now, which is only going to play into the hands of UCONN. As Samo on a flank, able to take Burnout out of the fight. And now, despite getting several picks, then using 5 ultimates, Delaware has to back off with no ticks to show for it.
Considering they were the first team to lose a player, I was very interested to see what Delaware tried to do. And committing ult into a lost fight on 2CP, if you're not a group of 6 on 2CP, you're definitely at the disadvantage of the spawn. So trying to push at that spawn disadvantage, knowing that even if you do get a pick, that person's still probably going to get back for Connecticut before your attacker is, it's going to make it very hard to then try and push point.
That it is, but they're going to try again. Hyper eats the business end of an anti-nade once again. They're going to go down to about half health. Here's that supercharger now. It's going to be able to help the rest of the team charge up their ultimates in addition to getting a lot more damage in. Nana Boost committed now onto your boy Wings. that Tesla cannon working overtime right now. Pod taken out of the fight. And that's going to be an immortality field committed by Burnout as the rest of the team is still very low. They're not able to heal them back up in the fight. Easy Dirt going down. It's going to be Delaware having to back off again.
Yeah, and due to the drawn-out nature of that last fight, we saw Helpful Fox engage nanoing your boy Wings in that last fight. And then again, this fight that's just gone, Helpful Fox already had nano boost back up, allowing your boy Wings to play very aggressively into this close quarters comp that Delaware were playing. But now we see a complete change onto Brawl. They're going to just take point. Nate gets the early pick onto Nelson. We see what they can do now that they're brawling on point.
Yeah, Immortality or Amplification Matrix going to be committed by Burnout. Primal Rage has to be popped in response. One tick almost in favor of Delaware. That is going to eventually tick over to them. Easy Dirt throws out the self-destruct. Not going to catch anybody, but the Remix does. Savix out of the fight. With your main tank out on Brawl, that's going to make things very difficult. One tick is all that Delaware is going to get this time around, but more than they've gotten in the past.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't decide to commit anything into that fight, though. Once Savix was down, they did back up, try and, you know, give some space, not let anyone else die so that they can fully commit once he's back in now, which he is. We see him trying to push through choke here. But Neus does have the Dragons. This could be a very big into a Brawl conflict to try and commit to fight.
There come the Dragons, the rally thrown in now in response, but it's going to be Connecticut just picking apart Delaware at the moment. Big Lenny does get a self-destruct kill. Attack Visor now going to be committed to Sammo, as is the Nano Boost, because a couple of picks now coming in favor of Delaware. This is looking pretty good for them. They're going to get a second tick on the board. Somebody has to touch. There's barely any time left. Your boy Wings throws themselves into the fray as a helpful duck falls. And without that Ana, it's going to be so hard to keep their team up. But look at this. It's swung back in favor of Connecticut. They hold.
And the 2CP respawns really coming in favor of Connecticut there, just allowing them all to get back just before Delaware could really fully commit back into that fight. And even though, like you said, they'd lost out for Fox, they'd lost that big amount of healing, University of Delaware only had one tank and a DPS left, and it wasn't enough for them to keep pushing. The rest of the team had not come back yet. And now some Bastion. I wonder where he's going to set up here. He doesn't look quite sure of himself. It looks like he's going to try and hide and wait for the engagement of Delaware to see what positioning they choose, but he could just go turret form in the site.
He's not moving. He's just sticking it and planting it right here. That's where he's gonna post up. A lot of damage going in now to Savage's shield. Maywall comes out to block away that Bastion, but he's just gonna shoot through. We hear the Amp Matrix as well committed by Burnout. Huge shatter coming in from Savage, but Nelson's there. He turned their back to a Bastion, which is a bad idea. But the kill still coming in favor of Delaware, despite not having that main take. They're still pushing because this is their last opportunity. Maywall again to block out the damage. Big Lenny almost gets the mech there at the last second, backs out just in time. Now your boy Winks is back and they've got the Primal Rage. They can continue to put a lot of pressure on. It might be a hold coming in here for University of Connecticut. Despite Delaware's best efforts, they are starting to fall by the wayside. Big Lenny's down, Pod's down, Hyper's down. They're almost all down at this point, and Connecticut is going to hold with 94% though on the board, though. Delaware has to be feeling good.
Yeah, they didn't quite manage to cap both points, but, you know, at this level, it's very hard to do that with the way the team's set up on these defenses in 2CP. They know how to contest one at a time, get themselves on, just keep drawing the fights out until it gets in their favor, because they do have the spawn advantage, and Connecticut did that brilliantly and were able to just draw those fights out long enough that they won them. But Delaware will be confident. That's a very high percentage. If they can get some good holds of their own, it will be difficult for Connecticut to get past 94%. They will, you know, they pretty much have to full cap this point themselves to win here.
Yeah, this is going to be the silver lining to all this though for UConn is the fact that they were able to hold Delaware from getting a full cap. This is an opportunity for Connecticut to really come back in this series and to start to mount what is going to have to be a reverse sweep in order to win. And Delaware, though, they're back on this double shield, and we've seen just how terrible it has been for University of Connecticut to try and push into this.
Yeah, but they are on a completely, like we said, this is a completely different lineup almost, with people playing completely different characters. So it's a complete compositional change-up from Connecticut. They're on the dive comp now, which is more beneficial to play into this lineup that Delaware have. If they can try and split off one of these high grounds that they're holding and get the picks on and get them zoned out, Connecticut do most certainly still have a chance here with this lineup change. If they were running Brawl, I would be slightly less favorable of them, but this is a heavy dive comp that they're running here.
Yes, it certainly is. They're going to be looking to rotate as quick as they can, take as little chip damage as they can while they get in position and start to stage their dive. Pod's turret now has been removed. That's going to be an opening now for this Connecticut team to start pushing in. Easy Dirk, though, takes a lot of damage on the rotation. They're going to have to wait a couple seconds for them to be healed back up. And now Delaware has started to post up on point as Connecticut tried to drop down here onto the low ground, but not able to at the moment. Delaware now pushing up considerably. They're going back over to this high ground. A little bit of pressure now being put on point by Easy Dirk, but they can't stay there for too long because there's just so much chip damage coming in. Look at that! Easy Dirk demech'd immediately because of all this chip damage coming in. University of Connecticut, I think they're going to have to find a different place to stage their dive.
Yeah, he hadn't even peeked out for a second. He'd already used Defense Matrix trying to eat the pull from the Orisa and trying to stop the Hulk onto the high ground, onto his backline. So then, as soon as he tried to peek out, he had nothing to stop himself from getting demech. He got just absolutely pumped with all of the damage. 6 people shooting at, well, 5 people shooting at the same time. Brig couldn't do any damage to him from there, but 5 people shooting at the same time, that mech isn't going to last.
No, it certainly isn't. And now Connecticut, already, almost half of their time has been burnt off of this time bank, and they've really not had a full attempt yet on point.
They do have Nano to engage with, though.
That is absolutely true. That Nano Boost going to be committed to your boy Wings, and already Hyper is out of the fight. Big Lenny looking they're not going to be long for this world. Molten Core committed by Pod to try and hold on to this. But this dive composition is doing exactly what it needed to do. Samo very, very low, so there's a possibility Delaware could come back from this. In fact, Nate's going to pop the attack visor. Can they get anybody? No, they're unable to, as the bash comes in from Tizguy. But look at this, a couple of picks now in favor of Delaware. Connecticut, though, not going to be outdone. The blade is online for Nels, but he doesn't even appear to need it as they clean up the rest of Delaware.
Yeah, I'm kicking myself for not noticing earlier just how fast a Helpful Fox had managed to build up that Nano Boost, but that was exactly what they were playing for. They just wanted to take some of that poke. Obviously, they were hoping that they didn't lose their Diva in the process, but that's what they wanted to do. They just wanted to take damage and let their Ana build up Nano Boost so that they could just send that monkey into that backline. He dove in, immediately kills the Brig, and then the sustain of Delaware just starts to fall apart.
And now we're coming into a situation where University of Connecticut has almost 5 ultimates online. Make that 6. If a Helpful Fox could get this Nano, we could see a Nano Blade just dissect this Delaware squad. A couple of tank ultimates, though, gonna be available for Delaware, but they're gonna have to be big if they intend to hold here. 4 minutes on the clock as well for Connecticut. This is plenty of time for them to make something of this and to get a full cap. We're gonna hear several ults being committed right off the bat. University of Delaware gets eviscerated by all of this damage coming through from every single point and space possible. They're very quickly going to cap this. This is going to be University of Delaware coming back in this series, making it a 2-1 game.
The compositional change-up and putting players onto different things so that they could counterpick what the Delaware team was playing was perfectly played by Connecticut there. They played that perfectly. They used a minimal amount of ults to cap first point. They snowballed that into that second point. Like you said, they popped 6 ults at the same time. Nels with a Nano Blade gets, what did he get, 2, 3 here? I think he ends up with 3 kills by the end of it. It's just like, they popped 6 ults at the same time. There was just nothing that this anchored 2 shield comp of Delaware could do to stop Connecticut from just pushing them back into spawn. It was smartly played, and whoever their coach is, I applaud you for being brave enough to change not just like what comp you're playing, but change who's playing what role, knowing what your player's strengths are, and knowing that you have that flexibility. It's very impressive to see people in a single match just completely swap what role they're playing and then win as convincingly as they just did.
Yeah, no, that was a very convincing win for UConn right there. They may have found the answer to this double shield composition that Delaware has been running. We're going to be headed next to Route 66. So, double shield, not a bad look here at all. I would anticipate Delaware coming out on it again.
Yeah, but at the same time, the dive comp that Connecticut just ran is also very strong on a map like Route 66. If they get those good staging rotations, if they allow themselves to get Nano Boost built up in one fight like they did on Volskaya, they could be set up for another set of just snowball engagements with good ult rotations if they keep it up again like this. So it's definitely a map that can go either way. Delaware, if they do run that 2CP, they need to be careful that they don't actually send too much poke damage into Connecticut in the pre-fight and don't allow them to build Nano Boost as quickly as they did. They played perfectly into the hands of Connecticut in that last fight, and I hope that they've learned from it and they don't play that exactly the same way. They wait for the engagements to happen before they start poking out Connecticut's dive.
Yeah, that likely was the one of the factors that really affected that last map. Route 66, like you said, the dive composition can work very, very well here. The second point, I feel like, is similar to Hollywood. The high ground isn't quite as high, but there's certainly just as much of it, especially with the catwalk that runs all along the kind of the coast side of Point. Yeah, I'm very excited to see what they do. I think that Delaware and Connecticut have maybe now found the compositions that they're feeling the best on at this point. You know, Delaware early on figured out the double shield. Now Connecticut on the dive composition, they have an answer to that, but both teams still looking very strong on both these compositions. And with the way Route 66 is, I could really see it going either way.
Yeah, it's a map that fits both compositions differently. These are compositions that can either completely shut each other down or will just completely snowball each other. So it's very much now down to how well the actual players play the heroes that they're on and who makes the least mistakes. It's no longer a matter of one team is playing the better comp, they win. It is now very much who's going to make the bigger plays.
Right. Yeah, that is very true. It's going to come down to the execution from each of these teams, literally and figuratively, I suppose, in Overwatch here. Getting ready to load into the game just now. We're going to get a sneak peek as to what the defense is going to run out on. And yeah, I'm excited to see what it is. I think I hear a wrecking ball in my headset. So
I was just thinking the same.
It could in fact be not loaded into the game yet, but we are getting game sounds. So, ooh, that's a Genji, that's a Tracer. Who else can we name here? I think I heard a Zarya as well. Yeah, lots going on right now in one of the spawns. Oh, we are waiting for one more player to connect, so they're just memeing in the lobby at this point. That's what's going on.
I just heard a Bastion and I was panicking.
Yeah, exactly. Though, I mean, we did see it come out legitimately, and it was one of the factors that helped Connecticut hold that second point, because
it was an insane amount of damage for sure.
Yeah, it was, and I remember Stavix getting picked off because they turned around, they turned their back to the Bastion, and despite getting that huge shatter, they weren't able to follow up on it. We are going to see Delaware on the defense first this time, and I'm going to be a little surprised if we don't see double shield here.
Yeah, I agree. Given the way that the maps have gone so far, they could run a dive, but we see it straight away. Double shield picked. Nate and again on the Tor, Pod on the Tracer, Savix. Yeah, so this is the comp that they've been pretty comfortably running so far. But Connecticut, sticking with what just worked for them on the last map, have Nous on the Genji, Samo on Soldier, your boy Wings still is the main tank, but he's now over onto the Winston as he was before. So this is going to be an exact, in terms of composition wise, it's going to be the mirror match of what we just saw on Volskaya. So again, it's going to be down to who plays it the best. We are going to be seeing Connecticut probably poking out their heads a little bit just to take some of that damage to try and build, as we said, that nano boost up as quickly as possible, and then heavy engage once they have the ultimates on their side.
Absolutely. They've got the Torbjorn to try and dissuade some of this dive, but Pod on the Tracer, I think, is going to have a hard time. They may want to opt for a Cassidy, depending on whether or not they are picked early on here. UCONN just staging at the moment, waiting for this cart to kind of move around this corner before they decide to jump in. Samo just trying to get a little bit of damage into these shields to work them down before the main dive comes in. Nice halt accretion combo coming out from Savix and Big Lenny. It's not going to result in a kill, but a lot of damage done there. Here comes the engage now from your boy Wings, goes down to about half health and drops down to the low ground. But who also drops his Savix, the Immortality field has to be committed to keep them up, and all of a sudden they've got a lot of health and your boy Wings doesn't. Both main tanks out of the fight at this point, but UCONN looking a little worse for wear as both supports are still up for Delaware. Easy Dirt going to be demeched as well for UCONN, and they're going to be a prime target for this Tracer who is just whipping around, but Nels is able to negate Odd. So, this is definitely not over yet for them. University of Delaware going to be able to get this, rather, University of Connecticut going to be able to get this card pushing, but Delaware's back.
Yeah, and they've got themselves back on that high ground. They've got their anchor tank back. It was a little bit more of a heavier first engagement than I expected from Connecticut. I expected a bit more staging, a bit more poke, a bit more bait of abilities. Instead, they just went hard onto that front line, but at the same time, it was Delaware's Savix, who again is the first one to drop. I feel like this Arisa's dropping onto point a little bit too early to try and get these contests off, and is just forcing out too much of the sustainability from the rest of their team.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. I think that Savix needs to hold that high ground a little bit longer. Molten Core now committed by Nate on the side of Delaware to try and slow the roll of this Connecticut squad, but they have been pushing through with relative ease so far. University of Delaware really seems to be confused at the moment. They're going to pop the Gravitic Flux. That is big. Then on the way up, they take out Sambo. On the way down, they take out Helpful Fox. Now Delaware primed to hold, but with Hyper out of the fight, some of these dive characters are going to have a little bit easier time, like this Genji. They are going to take Burnout out of the fight. So, Connecticut not done yet. They're going to continue to try and push, but eventually Delaware does hold.
Yeah, and we saw the Nano Blade actually get used from Connecticut's side there. Nels wasn't able to actually pick up any kills with the blade itself. And if he had, I felt like that would have heavily tanked the fight, but he didn't. And then the defense were able to just come back. That sustained poke damage that they do have, just chipping everyone away, and then they managed to hold. I'm surprised to see Pod still sticking on this Tracer, but he does have Pulse Bomb, so I would like to see how he uses it going into this engagement.
As would I. Immortality field committed very early on. As Savix takes a tremendous amount of damage. He's going to be healed back up. D-Mech comes in onto Easy Dirt. That's going to be a big boon for Delaware as long as they can stay alive. Your boy Wings falls. Easy Dirt out of their mech. That's going to mean there's very little protection coming in for this Connecticut squad. The remech does come in. Easy Dirk in the meantime is able to take Savix out of the fight. Now things are starting to turn back in favor of Connecticut as this blade is going to get tremendous value, not even with a nano boost behind it. That's going to be Delaware crumbling, and with 30 seconds left to go, Connecticut caps first.
He just wanted to prove me wrong that he could get kills with blade there. Doesn't even need the nano boost, and now found 2 kills early on in that fight. Yeah, if you've already baited out, or not baited out, but forced out all of the defensive resources of Delaware, you can just start swinging a dry blade into that, and it doesn't need to be one of those million-degree YouTube blades. You can still just melt down people as it is. It's still an ultimate ability. It still has an insane damage output.
That it does. And speaking of insane damage output, we're gonna have a rally used now. That's gonna allow this Delaware squad to push forward very, very quickly, but an anti-nade catches 5 of them. That's going to slow them down tremendously, but they're still going to be able to hold on. UCONN now, very interesting. They have, like, swapped positions practically with this Delaware squad. Delaware now closer to the point. A Helpful Fox commits the nano onto your boy Wings. So much damage going in. Immortality field committed again. Another anti-nade lands, and it's going to be Connecticut coming away with the fight win on the back of some excellent ults.
Yeah, and then they can just kind of hold the Delaware team in this corner where they don't want to be, but your boy Wings dying with his ult there. I'm sure that's not what he wanted, and Big Lenny gets 3 kills to turn the fight around. And
yeah, this
immediately Delaware are now on the front foot.
Yeah, this is a tremendous hold coming out from them. They desperately needed that. After that, those couple of kills came in favor of Connecticut, and now there's just 1:20 on the clock. This is 2 more fights at most for Connecticut.
Yeah, and I'm sure your boy Wings thought that he was going to be able to just hold them in that little tunnel with his Primal Rage, but he got stunned as he hit below half HP. Pod stunned him, and then the rest of the damage from Lenny and Nate was just able to kill him before he got back out and was able to pop the Primal.
Now we've got Visor committed from the high ground. Early picks coming in favor of Delaware. Savix goes down, though, and the nice play coming out there from Nels negates that Deadeye from Pod, removes it from the equation entirely. Point still being hotly contested at the moment. Big Lenny does find a kill, though. So Connecticut looking a little worse for wear at the moment. They need to reset fast because we are entering last fight territory very quickly.
Yeah, and again, Delaware showing their flexibility with their ability to change team comps in the middle of a map, and they're using it greatly to their advantage, and they're kind of forcing fights to be played the way they want them to be played here. And we see ults coming up again. Big Lenny has his. Could we see another big bomb? And Nate also has his Molten Core, which is going to be very good for denying that space and denying that point control of Connecticut.
It absolutely is. We're going to see Molten Core commit early. That's going to keep many members from touching the point. Already, Samo out of the fight. Pod finds the pick. Helpful Fox trying to get this Nano Blade online. Nano is online as fast as they can. See if they can commit it over to Nels. Here comes the Blade. The Nano's committed right after it. Immortality Field is out. Can Delaware hold on? No, they can't. This Blade is tremendous. This was what this Connecticut team needed. It's just down to the tanks, and they're not going to be long for this world. Can Connecticut survive long enough to get the third point, or will Delaware be able to contest?
It does look like they're going to commit to having at least 3 people on point, try and make sure they get this push before any of the Delaware players can contest. They will indeed. So, coming into this last point, Connecticut obviously were the team that preferred the Brawl comp, and they just won that second point. They kind of have some ults coming online. They did just use their biggest combo, but they're going to swap over. Yeah, they get rid of Legend. I expected that. They swap over to the hard Brawl. So now both teams on this very heavy committed pure Brawl comp. And now, due to that, because Delaware were already on it, they do have more ults in their favor.
Yeah, that they do. This is going to be a tough hold to push through. Self-destruct comes out, finds Burnout. Soundberry needs to be committed. Huge shatter comes in from Savix. Your boy Wings in response finds a few more, and it's gonna be Connecticut coming out on top. They're gonna get this right to the gates of victory. Delaware's gonna have one more chance to hold.
The May Wall from Pod there just popped Burnout perfectly up into the angle where the Diva Bomb hit him, and very unfortunately there, they then lose all of their healing capabilities, with Burnout also having his ult, which he popped early here.
Yeah, that's going to be a big boon for Delaware right now. If Pod can get this Blizzard online very quickly, that could be very beneficial to them, but Attack Visor is going to be online from Samo. I'd imagine it's going to be used pretty early here. Here comes the Deadeye. It's going to zone several people away. Maywall used in response. Not going to find anything from that. Attack Visor still held. It's going to go through this Ant Matrix now. That's going to be a tremendous amount of damage coming out from Samo. They are going to get frozen, though. Here's the Blizzard from Pod. They're going to pop it. Several members. Your boy Wing's going to be frozen solid. Self-destruct now committed by Big Lenny. Nobody's going to go down from it. University of Connecticut still 6 strong. Savix out of the fight. Big Lenny having to do as much as they can do. Shatter comes in from your boy Wings, and it lands. Savix goes over to the Wrecking Ball to try and keep the contest going for as long as they can. But we are already in overtime. This is going to be an overtime cap coming in from Connecticut, and they desperately needed this.
Yeah, we were talking about how with Connecticut's favoring of the Brawl comp, that if they were able to push those first 2 points, it was going to be difficult for Delaware to defend, and it proved to be that exactly. Connecticut getting some good fights, some good ult combos, allowing them to win those and snowball their way through those first 2 points. And then once it's into a Brawl v Brawl fight, it looked pretty decisive from University of Connecticut. They proved their dominance in that close range Brawl composition.
That they did, and it feels like we've come full circle, practically, right? We've seen the rock, paper, scissors of these compositions played over and over again, and back to Brawl right here on the third point of Route 66. Now it's time for Delaware to see if they can come away with a completion here. They have to get that, otherwise we're going to go to match point at 2-for-2 with the momentum in Connecticut's favor.
Yeah, like you said, we it's very much been a chess match between these two teams. There's been dominant moves from both sides, but ultimately they've just been picking each other apart, figuring out what each person is stronger at, and then figuring out, kind of baiting the enemy team into a little bit of overconfidence within a certain team comp. No, but understanding that we've now figured out how we need to play to beat that. They counter it, and then Delaware now have been on the back foot in the second half. Not quite sure how they're going to hold, but Connecticut committing to the brawl straight off the back. We're going to see a close hold in train here.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting. Farah's going to find them immediately and start layering in rockets to that shield. Wrecking Ball going to come from behind as well. Procs a good amount of shields with that engagement too. And now the poke is really going to start in force. And Connecticut not in exactly the best place. This spawn hold they very quickly let go of and start to back off and wisely give Delaware some space as they start to push in. But in the meantime, Easy Dirk is going to be demeched. But on the way out, they find Pod. Huge pick in favor of Connecticut right there.
Yeah, I feel like Delaware set themselves up, assuming that Connecticut were going to play this brawl type comp, and they went into, as my team calls it, buddies, or this poke comp that they have now with the ball and the Farah, and it is perfectly set up to counter the composition of Connecticut with this brawl. They do, obviously, turret is a nice little way of poking out Farah. You have your Kree, you have your Bat, but if the rest of the team is engaging at the same time, if you're well coordinated, which Connecticut Delaware are, it's very hard for them to stop this Farah advantage.
That it is. We're going to see a pile driver engage from Savage. They're going to get a little bit of value. The barrage comes in, but the pick's in favor of Connecticut at the moment. The res is going to come in onto Burnout, so now it is a 5v5 again. They're going to have that Discord back. Couple of ultimates committed. Big Lenny coming in big for University of Delaware. Burnout still holding on to that Transcendence because they definitely don't need it in this fight. Minefield committed by Savix, and Connecticut just falling to pieces right now. Self-destruct committed. There are a couple of picks in Connecticut's favor, but the point is capped, and they've got a lot of time in the bank.
Yeah, and there were ults invested there from Connecticut that you feel like maybe they could have got away with not having used. Easy Dirk's bomb in particular there at the end, he could have just committed to dying. Instead, he's actually staggered himself out of this fight a little bit longer, as well as using what is a very big ultimate to be thrown out in this the second point in particular. But Savix is very low. He's going to be looking, there you go. Healing back up. I wondered what was happening there. He was trying to force point while low, but we now see the brawl snap on high ground. I don't feel like they're going to be able to commit to this brawl comp against the Delaware composition.
Yeah, I agree. I think Connecticut's kind of get caught in the same trap they did last time. Rally committed, but right in the midst of that happening, Tubix come in right off the bat for Delaware. And now they're going to be able to push forward very, very aggressively. The DMAC going to come in onto Easy Dirt. Now there's nobody to stop the rest of this damage coming in. And Delaware's just going to keep this cart rolling.
That they are. And like I said, this is exactly what happened on the first two maps that Delaware won. We had Delaware running this Farah ball comp, and Connecticut trying to force a brawl into a less favorable position, and Delaware won comfortably. I don't understand why Connecticut changed away from what was working for them and are playing into such a disadvantageous comp lineup. This has gone back from, we said earlier, it's a matter of who makes the bigger plays. It's gone back into a my comp better than yours situation.
Yeah, it really, really has. And now we're actually seeing something coming in for Connecticut. They finally got an advantage in the fight, but it's only going to be for a short time as the Dragon Strike connects. And Nate coming in huge with the Storm Bow as well. Gravitic Flux used to just secure these last few kills. And University of Delaware going to be moving into third point with over 4 minutes on the clock.
High ground control, the poke damage, the off angles, all of it is just so heavily in favor of Delaware to be able to poke out Connecticut's brawl. And now we're inside, and your boy Wings has now decided to swap to the Monkey, where this is where the Rhine brawl is more favored.
Yeah, I have been puzzled by some of these choices coming out from Connecticut. I'm not gonna lie, it's it almost seems like their decision making is what's working against them right now. A couple of ultimates online for University of Delaware. They're going to have this pulse. They still have the Transcendence. Self-destruct going to be committed by UCONN. It's going to land up top. Not going to find anybody this time, but it does zone people out temporarily. Ant Matrix used. There's the Transcendence in response as well. Pod now looking for an opportunity to land this pulse bomb. They find the stick. Your boy Wings is out once again. Delaware continuing to just plow through this point. Now, Pod able to get a pick onto a Helpful Fox as well. No more heals on the board for Connecticut, and they are just, Delaware's just one fight away from coming away with a considerable time bank here on Route 66.
Yeah, and they really won't have to push it far. If they cap with a good amount of time, Connecticut only managed to cap in overtime, so they have the ult advantage here. They have the comp advantage here. I feel like this is going to be a very convincing win again for Delaware on this point.
Yeah, that I do. Savix is eventually going to weigh up and take a Helpful Fox out of the fight. Samo not long for this world as well. Not many people left on point at all for Connecticut, and they are falling rapidly. Easy Dirt goes over to the Roadhog to get just a little bit extra sustain on the board, but that's only going to last for so long, and it's going to be almost 2.5 minutes on the clock when it all is said and done.
Yeah, so with the timeouts coming back up, obviously Connecticut did full cap, so they get that minute, but that minute also gets added on to Delaware. So Delaware now with 3 minutes 23, they have a near 2.5 minute time bank advantage over Connecticut. If Delaware can have a solid defense here, they can really just play for multiple ult fights to their advantage, and just hard commit with stacked ultimates on their next attacks. It's going to be very hard for Connecticut to match the distance with such a fewer time bank, especially with how much just more convincingly Delaware held compared to Connecticut there. I'm so confused by the team comps that they chose here. The Monkey was working so well for them. They went back to the Rhine, but then on that last point, Connecticut go back to the Winston where the Rhine is favorable. Like you said, the decision making here, it's not quite clicking with me, and it doesn't seem to be clicking in the game either.
Yeah, you're absolutely, I think you're absolutely right here. University of Delaware going back over to this double shield composition to try and make this hold as strong as they can. Just a minute on the clock, like you said, for Connecticut, and they're going double shield too. So they're trying different things, but it just, I'm not sure about it. I'm not convinced about this double shield on attack, but let's see how it goes.
We've seen Delaware run it, so it's highly possible that it could work, but it's not. We've not seen them run it. It doesn't seem to be something that they're most comfortable in, and it's not the most usual comp to run here. But I guess they're hoping that they can just they have the player ability advantage over a mirror match composition.
Yeah, I suppose that is what they are hoping here. Delaware gonna have the height advantage as well. Nice haul comes in, almost takes one of Connecticut's players out of the fight. 20 seconds left to go. Connecticut cannot lose any fight at all from here on out. This card has to stay under their control, and they are playing as safe as they possibly can. Fortify has to be used. Big pull comes in from Savage. It's going to be Nate who gets the credit on the kill, but the pull was tremendous from the main tank of Delaware. Now overtime is starting to tick over, and there's not a Helpful Fox anywhere to be found. Can the res come out? It's gonna get there, but so much damage goes to Tisguy. The stick is gonna be there as well. Tisguy barely gets the res, and look at this. Now there's a pick on the Easy Dirt right before they get this Gravitic Flux online. Members of Delaware have now dropped onto the point to try and hold this for all their worth. Hulk comes in, and a Dynamite connects as well in favor of Connecticut, but the healing is just too good from Delaware, and a Helpful Fox is out of the fight. Now, the Fortify used as well to try to keep your boy Wings up, but they're not going to be able to for too terribly long. Tac Visor now committed from Nate to seal the deal, and with the overtime Wick descending, that's going to be as far as Connecticut gets.
Yeah, they don't even get the cart to push around the corner here. Like I said, the double shield composition was so unusual. You have to assume that they knew what Delaware was going to run. They know Delaware likes to run this double shield defense. The best way to beat it is that dive comp that you were initially running, Winston or a ball, get those fast rotational movements. Yes, you don't have much time, and yes, you want to stick around cart, but if you're on the low ground sat on cart, you play into Delaware's team comp's advantage, regardless of whether it's a mirror matchup. Delaware, like you said, Savix with some massive pulls, getting insane focus damage onto single targets of Connecticut and picking them off, and then going to contest. It was just an unusual composition pick in an overtime play for Connecticut, and now they have a really hard time to hold, because if Delaware uses its time bank effectively and builds up ults to their advantage with the smart team comp that they currently look to be running out on, they can just stack 6 ults, pop them at the same time. They really only need to get past one choke to push. Although it does look like maybe Delaware or Connecticut are going to opt to try and play close with the ball. They're not playing in train, though. They realized their mistake from last time. They're not going to play all the way at the spawn duels, but it could also have been their only chance to get multiple fights out of this defense.
Yeah, that is certainly true. We're going to see, once again, this dive composition coming out from Delaware, and it's looked so good in the past for them. There's the golden box of victory. They just have to win one fight in these next 3 minutes, but University of Connecticut starting out strong. Hyper not going to be anywhere to be found, and without your Brig to protect that Zenyatta, it's wise to just back off, which is exactly what Delaware's going to do.
Yeah, especially once they lose pod as well. But like I said, really, this is going to be it's a battle of ultimates. Who can Connecticut build them fast enough that they have a consistent alt rotation to counter Delaware, or is Delaware going to be able to have enough time to just stack up these ults? Because like we said, the cart is already so close to where it needs to be. This is one fight territory, realistically.
Oh yeah, it absolutely is. We're going to see the pile driver initiation coming in from Savix. Not going to find too much of this time. Burnout looking for some value, but they're going to be taken out of the fight. However, there is a counter pick, and this benefits Delaware tremendously right now. If they can continue to push, they've got Connecticut on the ropes. Your boy Wings goes down low, but not as low as Big Letty. Immortality Field has to be committed by Hyper, and we've got a full squad once again for Delaware, but still got to wait for Sambo to come back for Connecticut. Now Savix looking for another opportunity for a pile driver here. Gonna take it right now onto that discorded tank. Several ults, though, online now for Connecticut. They're gonna use the Gravitic Flux, and it's gonna find 2, but there's 2 in favor of Connecticut, or Delaware as well. But it's gonna be all of Delaware falling by the wayside. However, if they can regroup fast, they can come in with a very big advantage in this next fight.
Yeah, they're looking to get 4 ultimates up in this next fight. If Burnout can get a good amount of damage, maybe we could see 5. Whereas from the side of Connecticut, they do only have 2. Although, admittedly, one of them is the sound barrier coming online from a Helpful Fox,
right,
which could help them sustain throughout this fight, but I don't think it's very likely.
No, neither do I. Just 0.15 meters to go. Burnout finds a kill. Here comes the attack riser from the Nate. That's the sound barrier to try and keep the rest of Connecticut alive, but they step off point, and Delaware takes the win.
Yep. The Graphitics Flux just pulled the remaining contesting members of Connecticut off of the point, and Delaware do get that 3-1 win. In the end, it does end up being, like we mentioned quite often throughout this matchup, it's a compositional win. It's a brains win more than a win in terms of just raw gameplay. They just picked the smarter team comps. They played that very smart chess game, and that's what got them this win in the end. Very well played by Delaware.
Excellently played by Delaware. They have to be feeling like $1 million right now, taking down one of the top teams like UCONN. That speaks tremendously to their potential in this tournament. You know, maybe they did some work over the break. Maybe there's been a couple of team composition swaps. Not entirely sure what the case is, but Delaware, definitely a team to watch out for. And University of Connecticut, unfortunately, they fall here. And, you know, like you said, like we've been talking about, seems to be just maybe a decision-making problem from their side. They certainly look strong, and I think they had what they needed to take this Delaware team, but that's not the way it played out today.
Yeah, and I will repeat myself again. It's Overwatch. Anything can happen, especially if you play the smarter team comps. People will say, you know, ranks are everything. Or we've got this like 4600 DPS that can click it. It doesn't matter if you don't get them in the right team composition, you don't get them in the right situations. The underdog team like Delaware today can win. It's all about making sure that you're playing as a team, you have the right engagements, you have the right setup to put yourselves in favorable positions to win maps, and that's exactly what Delaware did today. And they won the maps that they won quite convincingly off the back of that.
That they did. We're going to throw it to a short break. we are going to, we've got just enough time for a quick interview with one of the members of University of Delaware, so we're going to get to that. Oh, sorry, we're not enough time for the interview today. I apologize. So we're going to throw it to a break. We've got a great matchup coming up for you next. RIT versus Villanova. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon.